Well, good morning, everybody. I'm in a bit of a rush here today. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, ZMH 286, and I seem to have started doing everything 1 minute before the bewitching 7:15 or 19:15 UTC. Tricia and David here. Buenos dias, buongiorno, particularly to those leaving today. I should be saying goodbye, not hello, I suppose, but anyway. There are a few people leaving today, and it's a beautiful day down here. Absolutely no wind though, so hopefully once you get outside up there, there will be somewhat more wind than there is at Gulf Harbour Radio at the moment. We have 16 degrees though. Now that is a lot better than it was the last couple of days. The bar is 1024 as the high moves in. 1 knot of south-southwest. Clear and light skies. I appreciate the lightness because I know it won't be too long before we cannot see outside to see whether it's cloudy or not. But it's a lovely day here and a good one for us to drive for about 5 hours down to Taupo. So that's where we'll be in the weekend, where we will definitely have single-digit temperatures with these clear skies, but absolutely beautiful place to be when it's like that, as long as you've got plenty of woolies. Definitely need the winter woolies down there. A few boats have, for those of interest who are leaving maybe today or just want to know what's going on out there, a few boats have checked in. Cruising Satnet has Mezzaluna, still not too far away, 3424 south, 175, and they have got 15 knots of southwest wind, 15 southwest. So that's probably as forecast, a little bit bouncy, about 2 meters. Whistler, a bit further ahead, they left on Wednesday and they are at about 32 and 177. They have 15 knots of south-southeast, 15 knots of south-southeast, and a 2 meter swell from the southeast and a bar of 1023. So there's not much between them and us on our 1024. So, yep, a few people are out there. If you really want wind, you need to be where Alcyon is. They're heading to River Bay. They are at 37.5 and 168 roughly. And they have a southerly 25 knots plus gusting and squalls and rain at the moment. 100% cloud cover, of course. So a little bit of a sporty trip, as it is going to French Polynesia from New Zealand, but it's pretty lovely when you get there. For those that don't know River Bay, it sort of looks like the outline of Bora Bora, except there's no commercial activity, so it's absolutely gorgeous. It's got a beautiful skyline, sort of jagged and lovely, and it's actually not all that tropical there because it's still fairly well south. You need to be a lot further north to be able to swim without your wetsuit on, but still pretty good. A report from Frank on another adventure. He's in Tanna, a tiny bit rolly there, but not too bad, and had rain squalls through the evening. But anyway, the crew all went up to the volcano. Didn't say what that was like. I would imagine that the rain squalls, it wouldn't be all that great. Now, you certainly you get the noise, the lovely thumps and bangs and vibrations, but you certainly could do with some clear skies to see down into the crater. Anyway, up there at Tanna at the moment, in fact, only a minute ago, 10 to 12 knots from the southeast, 10% cloud cover, so it sounds like it's an awful lot better now, a bar of 1017. And another report with the southeast winds from Pilgrim, they're at 3.3, so they're roughly between Whistler and Mezzaluna, and they've got 12 knots of southeast and a bit of a swell, 1.5 meter swell. So they're on their way. They won't hear us, of course. Please remember, you do not hear us until you are up to about 30 degrees. Depends on propagation, but certainly you'll probably need to be about 30 degrees before you hear Gulf Harbour Radio. Now, I didn't hear from anyone who knew of anyone tracking to the east. Evidently, we are booming in on Alcyon. So if there is anybody else going in that direction and you want to make contact with them, please let me know. We are at GH Radio at extra.co.nz. The GH Radio is all run together, of course. Okay, I don't think there was, we haven't heard from Rubicon. Rubicon, are you on frequency, Matt? I have a funny feeling he will be at the 30 South mark and then not able to hear us because on Wednesday he was at 26. So he's actually heading to New Zealand. So Matt and Elizabeth will be in our skip zone at the moment. Is there anybody else wanting to give a report? Please call. I've just turned the volume up. There was somebody there. Try again. I think that might be another adventure, and if it is, Frank, you're still very, very light. Not much coming through here. It may not be you, though. Could anybody give me a relay?
Yes,
No, nothing heard there. Sorry, I'm just not going to be able to pick the person up there. Yeah, and looking at the streaming, Diego, they said it might be Diego, but he's still at Opua and they're ready to go. I wonder if it was you, Andrew, and Eye Candy at Wunda, but often it's quite hard to get out of Wunda with all of the other folk there. It's 15 degrees in Opua, by the way, so that's warmer than it has been. And yes, quite a few people look as if they're going to be heading off today. All right, David's got a fair bit, particularly for those who thought they might be wanting to go next week. I think he'll be covering that shortly. And Scoots is in the town basin, and they will be not going until after the 13th. So that's interesting to know. Thank you for that. Yeah, let us know, folks, because as this season gets going, as it is, we will slowly ease off doing passage weather and into islands weather, because that's where you will be and will be of more interest to you. But if there's still a bunch of you waiting to go, then by all means let us know. All right, I'm just going to pause again to see if anybody could hear that station that's trying to get through. If you can, call now.
This is Eye Candy, now copy.
Ooh, you are booming then, Andrew. Very good. Thank you. What's it like at Wunda? It looks like you've had a bit of weather. Over.
Yeah, there's been a wind overnight, but we're nice and sheltered in here behind the trees.
Oh, well, you've got a good signal in behind the trees, from in behind the trees there, so that's good to know. That. How's my signal with you, over?
Okay, it's good, fading a little bit, but that's pretty normal. It's nice that it was Rubicon and another adventure was the one you're trying to get hold of.
So could you get hold of Rubicon and find out where they are for me, please?
Yeah, just be clearly whereabouts are you, Aaron?
You might need some information.
Rubicon at 29 at 21170 East and course speed in wind conditions, over.
Did you get that? 29 and 170.5?
Okay, you're 10 to 15 knots of wind. 5 knots on a course of 171 magnetic. What's the direction of the breeze,
Southeast, I imagine.
East southeast, is that right there?
We need information.
Should have continued to back right on through
And
Tuesday.
75 to 85% south cover. They'll copy all
So we'll continue to back. Is that right?
Yes.
About the same
Favorable.
strength.
yeah, okay, got that. So I'm hearing you quite well. Did you copy my readback, Heather?
Yeah, I certainly did. Could you just tell him that the wind will continue to back, which he'll be very happy about, will continue to back until Tuesday about the same strength. Over.
Okay, from the Golf Harbor Radio, the wind will continue to back. Rubicon, the wind will continue to back until a couple of days' time. Over. Tuesday. Over. Rubicon received Patricia, back to you.
Yeah, he'll be happy. They'll be happy with that one, won't they? So that's good. And no, I've got no copy on Frank, Another Adventure. He's got a bit of a radio problem there. So Frank, you'll have to keep working on it, and we'll try again on Monday. I presume you'll be moving on in the not too distant future to be in Port Vila. Okay, thank you for that, Andrew. And let's see what the timing is here. We've got a few minutes to do a quick bit of news for people who are out there. Those New Zealanders will be interested to know that they were going to be going into the Pike River mine. That's the mine down on the west coast of the South Island that they had a bit of a disaster a few years ago with an explosion, and a lot of miners have not been retrieved. No entry is possible at the moment because of the danger of oxygen, high levels of oxygen exploding. So they have canned that idea for a while they investigate further. And for those royal watchers, it appears that Meghan and Harry may probably have had their child, because Harry's planning to go to, where was it, Amsterdam, Holland, somewhere next week. She did not want to go through the normal hospital procedure and standing at the door and all that sort of thing. They wanted to have it at home and very quietly, and evidently the Queen visited a couple of days ago, and she doesn't normally do that, so there's probably another grandchild around to visit. Okay, Julian Assange has been jailed. He's the WikiLeaks leaker. He's been jailed for 50 weeks in the UK for jumping UK bail, and so now he's getting a bit concerned that he might be exported to the United States.
Executed would be better.
David McNulty should be executed. I don't think they do that for those sorts of things, but anyway,
Yeah.
That's his fate for the future. Now, those people still in New Zealand, you might want to not stray too far from your boats. Evidently, the New Zealand injury rates from dog attacks have soared. There are over 500 a year hospitalised from dog attacks in New Zealand, and over a couple of thousand bitten. And so you really do need to be a bit cautious about being bitten by a dog, but there is no rabies in New Zealand. When we were in Ecuador, we we were in Bahia de Caracas, and we had a lovely circuit up into the hills and round and down again. And there was one dog that barked at us every single day, but he was on a lead, so it didn't really matter. And then one day, he wasn't on a lead. And now I'm a bit cautious about dogs, but this dog came hurtling out and ignored me and decided to go for David. And he bit him. Fortunately, David had jeans on, but he did manage to break through the jeans and the skin. So we were a bit concerned, and we did what you are meant to do in these situations: go to the port captain, and then we were told to go to what was the man he was the sort of the chief guy for. I'm just going to get David to turn the heater down. I'm just about boiling here. Off would be a good idea. So we had to go to the health chief for the area, and he then had to inspect the dog for 3 or 5 days, can't remember. We were not allowed to leave, because if you do get rabies, then you have to have this horrible jab in the stomach. And we were waiting to go across the Atlantic. But anyway, we waited, watched the dog, and it didn't show any signs of dribbling and foaming, so we were able to go. But it was quite an interesting procedure. All right, we're getting close to, I think we've got time for one more. This is for David, actually. Neva, that's our outfit down in Wellington, who do the sort of the long-range weather and sea type stuff. They have predicted that May to July will be unseasonably warm. Now, in fact, none of their predictions have actually been accurate by any means. So I'm not sure what that means, whether we're going to get it really cold or whether it will be normal or what. but they reckon it will be unseasonably warm due to the warmer seas. Evidently, the seas around New Zealand are between 0.8 and 2.1 degrees centigrade higher than normal. So that's causing some, especially for those of us that live near the ocean, it's causing a warmer climate for us, which will be very nice. We won't have to be quite so frigid when we go outside. But anyway, that's what they say, and they also say it might be a bit drier than normal, but then they say it will be normal. So it's hard to read that one. Whether the rain will come or not doesn't really matter. Well, it does to us actually, because we're on water, and the farmers need some water for their stock. But anyway, that's what the predictions are, which probably means that that will not be what happens. Okay, we are now at the time that we normally go to the weather, and if you have any questions, please remember we will not be on tomorrow or the next day, so you will need to cover them now. Here's David.
Yes, well, I'm surprised you even mentioned me in my presence. No, I'm afraid I don't have a very high regard for a lot of material that they put out. They have a very good reputation of being wrong more often than virtually any other organization that I can think of. For those that do follow the ENSO cycle, of course, NIWA and others have been predicting El Nino. In fact, they've been predicting that now for close on 14 months. It is still neutral. The ENSO cycle is still neutral. So, I don't know why we pay any attention to what they have to say. But anyway, good morning, and we'll start with the synoptic analysis. And that's where we find our high, pretty much as we predicted yesterday. It's just to the west of New Zealand. Central pressure strong, 1031, 1031 millibar. With the position, if you're plotting any of this, actually you should be getting the synoptic reports. But anyway, roughly 37 south and 165 east. Basically, that's due south of New Caledonia, albeit quite a way south, but that's the bearing to it from New Cal, and due west of Taranaki here in New Zealand. So it's sitting out there, and by Saturday, tomorrow, about lunchtime, I'd say, we'll find the high just to the east of Napier. It's finally starting to move. It's been almost stationary for the entire week. We started looking at it on Monday, and here we are Friday, and not much has happened, but it is on the go. It's going to continue to be strong. The forecasts for it are 1030 millibars, so it's still quite strong. Now, by lunch on Sunday, it rockets to the east. It's going to be roughly 43 south and 152 west. And this is a lot faster than you would expect the high to go. Most highs, they travel at about 21 knots, high centers. But this is due to upper level changes, and I don't believe it's in reality the exact same high that we're looking at now. But in any case, it is where it's going to be, and building, looking like maybe 1033 millibar. Now, also on Sunday, we're going to find our Australian depression, the one we talked about yesterday. That's going to be approximately 38 south and 160 east. Now, there's a bit of a squash zone between the depression and New Zealand itself. I don't think anybody is traveling in the Tasman at the moment. There's a few that want to get from Tasmania to New Zealand, but for one thing or another haven't left. And it's pretty rough out there now, so it doesn't matter if you're not leaving, that it is rough. But it is putting some big seas up to the north. I also see a tropical depression, scratch that, disturbance over the eastern Solomons. Now, by Monday, that continues to develop, not to any great extent at all, so don't get worried. It is not going to develop into a tropical cyclone. unless things radically change. But from what I could see, there's no worries there. But also on Monday, another high center develops within the ridge that's over New Zealand. So while the Tasman low really winds up, it doesn't move very much. So this is the depression just off of Australia. It does wrap up a lot of isobars, a lot of compression, fair amount of wind, but it's not moving. So that's incredibly good news for us. Now on Wednesday, this particular low, we'll call it the Tasman Depression to identify it. It basically fizzles. The high over New Zealand is maintained. So we have a low, goes away, and a high tends to stabilize and become maintained to probably about a 1030 millibar. And as it gets from now, I believe that we'll call it the 10th, the high is going to be moving east, pushing a ridge toward New Caledonia. Now the high, I think, is going to strengthen a bit, might even get up to about a 1034 millibar, which is going to be providing some quite fresh trades up in the islands area. At the same time, a new high is budding in the Australian Bight, so we've got another one that is going to develop. And this one looks to be very strong. I believe 1036, 1038 millibar, 1038, very, very strong. So there you go. We'll have to see what happens regarding this second high, how fast it's going to travel east and the effect that it's going to have. And this obviously are for you people that have not quite got your stuff together, not ready to go yet. This morning's runs, from what I could see, looking at a few different models, I think it puts the squash on an early departure next week. We had a few emails requesting what about Monday or Tuesday of next week. It doesn't look very good, as you'll be, or we will be, on the western edge of the high that I've been talking about. So the winds are going to be north to northeast. So quite uncomfortable heading north. Now, some of you may not care. Once you get above 30, 25 to 30, even though you've been getting headwinds up to that point, the winds start to back. And at that point, then the rest of your journey is quite doable. So you could look at next week as being a terrible beginning, but possibly doable if you're willing to put up with the conditions. We wouldn't, actually, but then again, we're older. So there you go. It's something to look at. We'll report Monday as to what things are looking at. Now, there is, looking toward the future, there is a possible frontal ban over New Zealand Sunday, the 12th. That's looking at quite a ways now. So it is possible, from what I could see, that your next window might be starting around the 13th. So that's a bit far out. In fact, too far out to be sure about anything. Also on that date, there is a possible tropical disturbance again up in the Coral Sea. I'll look at that pretty closely. But maybe we'll be happily surprised and we'll get ourselves another quite nice window up to the islands. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen much before the 13th, except for you people that are tough, taking your concrete pills and boat is strong, all that sort of thing. You might be able to leave. But if you want to be comfortable and keep your other half talking to you, you may want to look very carefully at the weather before you go. Okay, up in the islands, we've got a trough that runs right through Niue. There's a lot of cloud activity in the eastern Southwest Pacific. Anyhow, it's a well-developed trough hitting Niue. It goes on to Samoa, And then we have another trough that is running through northern Tonga, just like yesterday, and it runs through Wallis Futuna, and it goes on to the Solomons from there. And that's about it for troughs up in the deep tropics. So looking at Tonga first, we'll just cover these briefly now. There is a heavy rain and a flooding advisory for the northern areas of Tonga. But Vavau, not too bad. Vavau is on the fringe of all of this, so I don't believe we're going to be getting that type of rain that they are, say, up in Nui Tukatapu. However, it will be cloudy periods. Let's put it that way. Occasional showers, and pretty much the same for the Hapais as well. Strong winds, though, up there in the north. We're looking at south to southeast, 20 to 25. Gusts might be a little bit stronger. The rest of Tonga, the southern part of Tonga, south to southeast, about 10 to 15. But they're going to rise to 20 at times, maybe even getting up to 25 knots. And that'll be the same for Saturday. Sunday, northeast winds look like they're going to clash with southeast winds. So I'm expecting troughing conditions at that point. So we'll have to see what happens when we talk to you on Monday. We'll know for sure what happened. Over to Fiji now. The main trough axis is to the north, but cloud does affect the group. There is a strong wind warning in effect by Fiji Met for the Asawas, northwest Viti Levu, southwest Vanua Levu, and the Lau. Now, be pretty careful here, folks. These southeast winds, we're looking at 20 to 30 knots, gusting up to 40. That's a 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So not very pleasant out there. So if you're at anchor, safely protected, that's probably the best place to be. Seas rough to very rough, and tomorrow more of the same conditions. And Vanuatu, they show scattered cloud on imagery. No troughing that I could see. To the south, it continues to be quite windy. Southeast, well, getting up to 30 knots on occasion, and we're looking at southerly swells up to 3 meters. So very, very rough in the open water there in southern Vanuatu. On Saturday, a little bit lighter, maybe 25 knots. The central areas, mostly cloudy. Southeast winds 25 to 30. Swell maybe 2.5 meters, and much the same tomorrow. And for the northern waters, plenty of cloud about, winds southeast 20 to 25. So those of you that are on the leeward side of the Big Islands are obviously going to get relief. Sometimes, though, the wind tends to whistle down alongside the backside of these Big Islands. So, in other words, an easterly could wind up being a northerly. Surprising in that regard. Happens all the time in Vanuatu. Okay, over to Newcastle now. There's a fair amount of a broken cloud that I could see moving southeast to northwest, all being pushed by the big high. These are all the stratocu and broken cumulus. That's all part of this high, large high that we're talking about. Winds east-southeast, 18, 20 knots. Gusts getting up to 30 at times, especially on the outer reef. A little bit better tomorrow. Easterlies 15 to 20, still partly cloudy, with the loyalties seeing some showers. And Sunday, I think we'll see easterlies, a little bit of a shift in wind direction. So easterlies around 15 knots, but still partly cloudy as well. So that's about it from me. Until Monday, safe sailing if you're underway, and happy planning if that's what you're doing. So we'll be talking to you on Monday. So any questions come now, and here's the chief.
Okay, well, we have the North Star folk. Good morning to you. I've got actually an email I owe you, Steve, so to tell you about something. They're looking at your later one as well. And I have a question. If anybody knows anything about the success or otherwise of a weather router called Simon Rowell, he's a Brit and does weather routing. IALEA are looking going up to Alaska, so we know what's on the website. But if anyone has used Simon Rowell, then let us know and we can pass on the information to IALEA. Okay, is there anybody with anything now? We'll take any questions, and that will be it until Monday. So come now. Oh, I got a very loud, piercing noise. Try again. Is there any relay for Gulf Harbour Radio? That must be somebody trying. I got the trying Patricia. Does that mean that I'm trying? No, that you're trying. Okay, try again. Oh, hello, Barney, on Ocean Fever, and yeah, it was another adventure. Not sure what's wrong with his radio, Barney. And by the way, I tried to get a couple of emails to you, and for some reason, WinLink, it used to work, as you know, about a week ago, but it's not working for me to get an email through to you now. So I don't know what that is all about. I've done the same thing as normal to get through to a WinLink station. And actually, that reminds me, folks, if you do send us an email on GH Radio, you will get a reply back from the house, because everything comes through to the house email, Chameleon House at Extra. So make sure we are on the whitelist. I usually remember to put the //WL2K on, but sometimes I forget if I'm in a hurry. Okay, back to you, Barney. I thought you probably just were passing on that it was another adventure, but it sounds like Frank has got a bit more work to do. Over.
Yeah, you have any traffic? Yeah, you're 3 by 3 is the front one behind the big mountain here too, so good there. This weather from being a cheer Ocean Fever often with it.
Okay, thanks, Barney. And Frank, I did hear you, and I would give you about a 3 by 2, probably a 3 by 2. I worked out most of what you said then, so you are making progress there. Just not a lot of. It's a shame we haven't got someone else in the Vanuatu area to give us a report on what's going on. Excuse me, I had to stop and sneeze. So there is progress being made there. All right, folks, have a very good weekend, particularly cheers to Diego and Marina, off and away today, and hopefully they'll be at 30 plus, or 30 minus, should I say, on Monday, and we'll be able to talk to you. Cheers, everybody. Have a good weekend, particularly those out there on the ocean.